The topic of the future face of the NBA was a pretty big discussion over All-Star Weekend, and I think it's going to only grow larger the closer we get to LeBron's inevitable retirement. First of all, I think the conversation is just hilarious because it comes off as if, once LeBron retires, we're all going to sit down and vote for who we think the face of the league should be. That's not really how it works. It's sort of this unofficial passing of the torch, or just like someone sort of just naturally falls into it. And in thinking of who that person could be, there's two criteria that have to be met. First, the guy has to be good enough. We're talking about, one of, at minimum, the 5 best players in the NBA, maybe 6. I don't know, it depends on who you think that 6th guy is. So we're talking a short list of like Embiid, Jokic, Luka, Tatum, Giannis. But beyond the actual talent that a guy needs to have to represent the league in that sense, I think the bigger thing, and I think this is why it's going to be very interesting to see who that player is that it's not necessarily about wanting to be the face of the league, but it's going to be about who gets it, like who understands the responsibilities of that unofficial title and who's willing to accept those unofficial responsibilities. Because that's one of the things LeBron has always been great at. He's always understood his responsibilities as the face of the league, not just in terms of, trying to play as much as possible to always entertain the fans as the guy, most fans want to see, but also when it comes to some of the other stuff. The biggest example I can give is that the bubble doesn't happen without LeBron's approval. If you remember, they had that giant meeting of all the players in the bubble and everyone turned to LeBron, because if LeBron says no, nobody else's vote matters. I think LeBron has always gotten that. I think he's always been willing to be a voice for the stuff that's going on both in the NBA, outside the NBA, around the NBA. And that's a big responsibility. It's not easy. It's come with a lot of criticism. And so whoever unofficially takes that position has to understand that too. And that's where I think the problem of figuring out who that guy is going to be comes into focus. Because again, you can name 5 or 6 guys who talent-wise have what it takes to be the face of the league. But when it comes to the leadership aspect of that position, you think Jokic or Luka are going to want to do that? Absolutely not. They don't even really want to play in the All-Star game. Giannis seems like the best bet as the guy who has the combination of the most talent, but also the most front-facing of all the guys. He's also accomplished. He's won MVPs. He's won a championship. He's totally fine being in the spotlight and talking to guys, doing interviews, commercials, all that stuff. But is he willing to handle the business side of being the face of the NBA, or more the political side of being the face of the NBA? I certainly have question marks. Then again, I guess you could say the same thing about LeBron, because I don't know if LeBron was the face of the NBA until he started making 8 straight finals. He was definitely a face, but I think while Kobe was still there, him and Kobe maybe shared that spotlight. So in 2010, when LeBron first went to Miami, you definitely could have made an argument like, oh, is he ready to be the face of the league? And then sure enough, he was as good as anyone could have ever hoped for. So maybe it's the same thing with Giannis. Like, he might not seem ready until that responsibility is thrust upon him. Because I do think he would be the number 1 guy to replace LeBron. Even if you think a Jokic is better than him, Jokic has no desire to do any of this stuff. And so it's like Jokic and Giannis are maybe right here in terms of talent, but like you swap it in terms of like personality and outward, emotions and just like a desire to do this kind of stuff. Like Jokic just wants to play basketball and then go play with his horses, right? Giannis, I think, would have much more of a willingness to sort of involve himself in these politics. Another guy who could do it might be Jayson Tatum. He actually just came out and said like he wants to be the face of the league when LeBron retires. I think he would definitely have a desire to do it. I just don't know if he's as talented as Giannis or as good, and certainly not as accomplished. So I don't know if that would fall to him in the way it would naturally. I think all eyes would sort of, gravitate towards Giannis when LeBron retires. I mean, look, I don't know when this conversation is going to really legitimize, because at the end of the day, right now, LeBron is still playing at a really high level. It'll also be interesting to see what the NBA looks like with the face of it all being an international player. That's never happened over the course of the NBA's history. It's all been American guys. Obviously, we've had legendary international players like Dirk and Hakeem, but nobody who's been like the poster for the NBA. So that'll definitely be interesting to see from both a pros and cons perspective. Maybe it makes, some American fans lose interest in the NBA, but maybe it grows the game internationally. I don't know. We still have a lot of time in between, now and when that day comes, and a lot can change between then. But, it's the All-Star break, and there's just not so much to talk about. And because this was a discussion during All-Star break, I figured I wanted to give my 2 cents on it.